In the 160th year of Greek rule, Alexander Epiphanes, the son of Antiochus Epiphanes, arrived and occupied Ptolemais. The people accepted him, and he began his reign there. When King Demetrius Soter heard of this, he gathered together a very large army and went to fight him. Demetrius sent Jonathan a letter containing words of peace and promises to honor him. He reasoned, "We need to make peace with him before he makes an alliance with Alexander against us. For he will remember all the harm we have done to him, to his brothers, and to his nation." So Demetrius gave Jonathan authority to recruit and equip an army, hoping to make him a military ally. He also ordered that the hostages in the citadel should be released to Jonathan. Jonathan came to Jerusalem and read the letters to all the people and to those in the citadel. They were greatly alarmed when they heard that the king had given him authority to recruit an army, but the guards at the citadel released the hostages to Jonathan, and he returned them to their parents. Thereafter, Jonathan lived in Jerusalem and began to rebuild and repair the city. He ordered workers to build walls around Mount Zion, using squared stones for better fortification. The foreigners living in the strongholds built by Bacchides fled, each one leaving his place and returning to his own country. Only in Bethzor did some remain who had forsaken the law of Moses and the commandments, for this was a place of refuge for them. King Alexander heard of the promises that Demetrius had made to Jonathan. He was told of the battles fought and the brave deeds done by Jonathan and his brothers, as well as the hardships they had endured. He said, "Could we ever find another man like this? We should make him our friend and our ally." So the king sent Jonathan a letter that read, "This letter is from King Alexander to his brother Jonathan. Greetings. We have heard that you are a valiant warrior who is worthy to be our friend. Therefore, today we make you high priest of your nation, and you will be one of the king's favored leaders and will promote our interests and keep our friendship." Alexander also sent him a purple robe and a crown of gold. So in mid-autumn of the 160th year of Greek rule, at the festival of shelters, Jonathan put on the holy vestments, and he recruited troops and heavily armed them. When Demetrius heard about this, he was very distressed and said, "What have we done that Alexander has thwarted our plans? He has gotten ahead of us and strengthened himself by gaining the friendship of the Jews. I'll do the same thing. I'll send a letter of friendship to them and offer them honor and gifts so that they will help me." So he sent this letter to them. This letter is from King Demetrius to the nation of the Jews. Greetings. We have heard that you have kept your agreement with us and have continued our friendship and have not sided with our enemies. This makes us glad. Now continue to keep good faith with us, and we will richly reward you for all your efforts on our behalf. We will grant you many privileges and give you many gifts. I now exempt you and all the Jews from all the tribute taxes. I also release you from the tax on salt and the crown taxes. And from this day forward, I release you from paying the standard tax of 1/3 of all grain and half of all fruit that is harvested. I will not collect this from Judea or from the 3 districts that were added to it from Samaria and Galilee from this day and forever. Jerusalem and its surrounding towns will be exempted from paying taxes on the tithes and revenues it receives. I release my control of the citadel in Jerusalem and give it to the high priest so that he can station his own guards in it. I am setting free, without ransom, every one of the Jews who has been brought captive from Judea into my kingdom, and all their taxes, even on their cattle, are remitted. I order that all festivals, Sabbaths, new moon celebrations, and appointed days, along with 3 days before and after each festival, are days of immunity and freedom for all the Jews in my kingdom. On these days, no one will have authority to take anything from the Jews or harass them. 30,000 Jews will be allowed to enroll in the king's army. Provisions will be provided for them as for all the king's troops. Some of them will be assigned to the great fortresses of the king. Others will be given positions of trust within the kingdom. I will allow their officers and leaders to be chosen from their own ranks, and I will let them live according to their own laws, just as the king has commanded for those in Judea. The 3 districts that have been added to Judea from Samaria will be fully annexed so that they may answer to only one authority, the high priest. I give Ptolemais and its adjoining lands to the temple in Jerusalem in order to meet the expenses of public worship. I grant 170 kilograms of silver annually from the king's treasury. All the additional funds that were denied in previous years will be given from now on for the upkeep of the temple. In addition, my officials will no longer collect the tribute tax of 57 kilograms of silver from the income of the temple. It will belong to the priests who minister there. If anyone flees into the temple in Jerusalem or into its surrounding territory because of a debt owed to the king or anyone else, that person will be released from the debt and will receive back all property taken as collateral. The costs for rebuilding and restoring the temple will be taken from the king's revenues. The king will also cover the cost of rebuilding the walls and fortifications of Jerusalem and the rest of Judea. When Jonathan and the people heard this message, they did not believe it because they remembered the tremendous harm that Demetrius had done to Israel and how much he had oppressed the people. They continued to side with Alexander because he had been the first to offer them a peace treaty. So they remained his ally as long as he lived. King Alexander gathered a large army and moved his camp near the army of Demetrius. Then the armies of the 2 kings began to fight each other. The army of Demetrius fled, and Alexander's army pursued them and won the battle. They continued to pursue them until sunset, and Demetrius was killed that day. Alexander sent ambassadors to Ptolemy Philometor, king of Egypt, with this message: I have returned to my kingdom and regained the throne of my ancestors. I have secured my reign by defeating Demetrius. I have regained control of our country by destroying Demetrius and his army in battle, and now we have seized the throne of his kingdom. Therefore, let us make a mutual pact of friendship. Give me your daughter in marriage, and I will become your son-in-law. Then I will give you and your daughter gifts that are worthy of your position." King Ptolemy answered, "It was a happy day when you returned to the land of your ancestors and regained the throne of their kingdom. Now I will do what you asked, but meet me at Ptolemais so that we may see one another. Then I will give you my daughter and become your father-in-law as you requested." So Ptolemy left Egypt with his daughter Cleopatra and came to Ptolemais in the 162nd year of Greek rule. King Alexander met him on friendly terms there, and Ptolemy gave Alexander his daughter Cleopatra in marriage. Ptolemy celebrated her marriage at Ptolemais with great and royal splendor. King Alexander wrote to Jonathan that he should come and meet him. So Jonathan went in stately ceremony to Ptolemais and met the 2 kings there. Jonathan gave them and their favored leaders silver, gold, and many other gifts and thereby gained their favor. Some ungodly troublemakers from Israel gathered together to bring accusations against him, but the king paid no attention to them. Alexander commanded that Jonathan should be clothed with a royal purple robe instead of his ordinary clothes, and it was done. Then the king gave him a seat of honor at his side. He said to his officers, "Escort Jonathan to the middle of the city and proclaim that no one is to bring charges against him for any reason, nor should anyone even annoy him." When Jonathan's accusers saw that he was being honored and that he was clothed in a royal purple robe, they all fled. So the king honored him and declared in writing that he was one of his most favored leaders, and he made him general and governor of Judea. Then Jonathan returned to Jerusalem with a sense of peace and joy. In the 165th year of Greek rule, Demetrius Nicator, the son of Demetrius Soter, came from Crete to the land of his ancestors. When King Alexander heard about it, he was very troubled and returned to Antioch. Demetrius appointed Apollonius governor of Cilicia. Apollonius then gathered together a large army and set up camp outside Jamnia. He sent this message to Jonathan, the high priest: "You are the only one who opposes us. People laugh at me and reproach me because of you. Why should you dominate us in the hill country? If you are so confident in your forces, come down and meet us on the plain. There we can test each other's strength, for I have the power of the cities behind me. Ask and learn who I am and who my allies are, and you will find that you cannot stand up to us. After all, your relatives have already been put to flight twice in their own land, so how do you expect to defeat my cavalry and such an army as this? We will fight you in the plain, where there is no place to flee." When Jonathan heard this message, he was so angry that he took 10,000 warriors with him from Jerusalem, and his brother Simon joined him to help. They marched toward Joppa. When the people of Joppa shut their gates to him, Jonathan began to fight against the city. The people of the city became terrified and opened the gates to him, and so Jonathan took Joppa. When Apollonius heard about this, he assembled 3,000 cavalry and a large army. They marched toward Azotus, as though they were passing by, but immediately afterward they turned into the plain because they knew that Jonathan would not let them enter. Jonathan pursued them toward Azotus, and the two armies met in battle. Apollonius had secretly left 1,000 cavalry behind them, but Jonathan found out that they were trying to ambush him. The cavalry surrounded Jonathan's army and attacked them all day long, but Jonathan's men held their positions and beat down the horses of the attackers until they had tired them out. Then Simon led his army into battle, and Apollonius's troops were overthrown and fled. Some of them took refuge in Azotus, where Jonathan burned down the city and its surrounding villages, and he took all their spoils. Then he went to Ashkelon, where the people met him with honor. Jonathan returned to Jerusalem with all the spoils of war and gave them to the people. When King Alexander heard about all these events, he greatly honored Jonathan. He sent him a gold brooch, which is given only to those who are considered kinsmen of the king. He also gave him Ekron and all the land surrounding it as his possession.